great.
If I'm in the UK, sweet, all right? Tomorrow, if I'm from the UK, I'm gonna bring what?
Football. Yeah, but an American will bring a...
Okay, cool. So, is the American wrong?
No.
Is the UK person wrong?
No.
Okay, so
well, some will argue American is wrong, but...
there you go. So everything has to stem from what then? Everything stems
interpretation.
from... Interpretation.
Okay.
Okay.
So you're saying Mark chapter 16, verse 9 to 20 is only interpretation?
No. So I'm into a different point. The point I made regarding Mark was I gave the statement. I gave a statement about the thing of the documentary I watched yesterday. Okay, a crime was committed in 1985 or something, right? And it was initially a murder charge was given. A murder investigation ensued. Okay, but later on they through the investigation said it was a burglary. Okay, 20 years later, police force reopened the case and they decided to pursue the original investigation, and they found through evidence that actually it wasn't a burglary, it was a murder, and they found the person who murdered.
So new evidence will overturn the old beliefs, is what you're saying?
It doesn't. But that's what. So what Muslims like to do is they say that
no Muslims.
Yeah, no.
There's not Muslims.
No.
These are the most conservative top scholars in Christianity, like Bruce Metzger and Bart Ehrman, who wrote a book, for example, The Corruption of the Scriptures.
This is really important.
One second.
Bruce Metzger and Bart Ehrman, they both agree with this. The position I argue for in misquoting Jesus does not actually stand at odds with Professor Metzger's position that the essential Christian beliefs are not affected by the textual variants.
Okay, so let's break this down. Okay, so let's break. No. He made the point. One second, Dimitri. Because you have to let. There's two of you now, and there's one me, so it has to be equal speaking time. If he makes a point, then I should be allowed to make a point because I listened to you. So now there's three. Okay, but then you shouldn't let him jump in. You shouldn't let him jump in. No, I never. Okay. We'll come back to you. Okay, but let me speak to him then. I can't speak to one. Yeah, sure. Yeah, okay, let me speak to you. Only Dimitri at the moment, yeah? Only Dimitri at the moment, yeah?
If I have one fact just to help you with...
No, but then I must be able to respond. This is what I'm saying. Colin, look, I stood here, Colin, yeah? I listened to Dimitri, and I didn't interrupt Dimitri. You interrupted. Now, you made a point. I should be able to... You shouldn't be scared. You should be scared. Yeah, so I should be... So let me respond to him, and we could get back. And then from that point on, we say no more interruptions. Okay. Now, what he's trying to say is meaningful and viable variants. This is what he's saying, but he's not using the word. Yeah. So what they say is that 1% of these variations, or changes, they go back to the original manuscripts and they actually change theology. That's why it's meaningful and viable. He doesn't know.
It doesn't change. No. Stop. No. I'll show you.
Meaningful and viable variations. Colin doesn't know this, and that's why he's disputing it.
Yeah,
look at this. Is a textual variant both meaningful and viable? So here, and this is by Daniel Wallace. Let me respond because I have to be allowed to respond without being interrupted. No, you can't interrupt when I'm answering the question, Colin. Look, let me. No, you disagreed. Then you think. Agree.
I'm agreeing that.
Colin, you're disrupting it's disingenuous. Look, let me say. Now, in the Bible, what he's referring to is that there's like something like 27,000 manuscripts. In that, there's an estimation of up to 500,000 different variations, meaning there's more changes than there are words in the Bible. Now, this is a common thing.
More changes.
More differences. Yes.
Difference and changes.
What do you think variation means?
No.
A difference from the standard.
No. Listen. If you want to argue English, let's do that. Okay. A change means I'm going over here and then I go over there.
What does variation mean?
A difference means this is like this and this is like that.
What does variation mean?
A variation means this is different from another.
Well, and what's the other thing? A standard.
A change.
It's a standard, right?
No, a change means a revision.
No, that's not what a change means.
If I'm going to Waterloo and then I change my route.
One second. Speak to me. I'm in front of you. 1 second. A variation, has to have a standard. Otherwise, it does. What does it vary from? What does the word vary mean?
No, listen.
What does the word vary mean?
Vary means to change. To be sorry, it means to be different.
Different. Thank you.
So if I change,
okay, you said it.
No.
But let me finish my point, and then you can answer for one second. Because you know what? I have many contentions when you lot speak, but I don't say all of them in the same. Do you get it? It just ruins the discussion.
100%.
Like what just almost happened. So anyway, so there's loads of manuscripts. Scholars from early as the 17th century, even before that, from the 3rd century, they started realizing there's variations in these scriptures. So what happened was they counted the variation. It goes up to 500,000 different variations. More variations than words in the Bible. Now what happens, Christian apologists often argue, but the variations, only 1% are meaningful and viable. He doesn't know these words.
And I'm happy to agree.
Yeah, but he disagreed in the first year. Yes.
Listen.
Now let's do the math.
You see this stuff?
Why they change
I'm not
Jesus'
new
name?
to it.
Oh, okay.
I'm not new
yeah,
to
but
it.
listen to this.
Cool.
So when you have when you try to reduce it to a fraction, only 1%, it sounds small, sir. It sounds very, very small. What's 1% of 500,000?
50,000.
Is that small? 50,000 variations which are meaningful and viable. I'll give you an example. Because he keeps making points.
No.
But
The reason why he's making this point.
Okay.
The reason why he's making this point is because he's saying.
I should be allowed to speak to one person.
No, it's true.
Can I just say that Hashim and two other Muslim scholars have debated me on my own? I don't care.
Yeah, but Colin, you're disrespecting Dimitri.
If he cares, I will go away.
No, but you.
If he cares, I will disappear.
You know all of the points. Write them down and I'll speak to
What
you.
you should do- what you should do-
Abbas and Hashim.
And me. You've forgotten.
together.
And me.
No, together. I don't care.
What you should do is what he done. To be fair, what he done was right. What he did was he tapped him in the shoulder and then he said, "May I jump in?" And I said 100%.
No,
which is fair.
that's fine. No, he hasn't done anything disrespectful. My
go.
argument, listen, Colin,
I will go if
let's
you want to
listen.
just
Listen, please. My argument isn't he's been disrespectful. He's very polite. But my problem is that I cannot speak to two people at the same time when it's like too many chefs in the kitchen ruin the broth. Now, okay, that's your choice. That's your choice. I must not. That doesn't mean I have
These are
to.
very fruitful conversations. It's not a difficulty.
Yeah, but
Abbas and
listen.
Hashim are discussing
This is
Trinity with me. I'm happy.
Colin, but this is the very point. He hasn't even been able to make his first point that he was trying to because the conversation went too far off. We're trying to go, and he recognizes. I recognize it. Every time you throw a comment, I'm trying to answer this at the same time, allow him to go back. That's why it's better for me to refine this discussion. Let him speak, and then every contention you have, we will talk about this. Is that okay?
Yeah, can I just say one thing? If there is a factual thing that my friend here says that I know to be incorrect, and I have the evidence, are you okay with me giving you the
Tap me in
evidence?
the shoulder, tap me in.
And I will not
And you
interrupt.
realize I have to
You have
answer
to
this.
answer it, exactly.
No,
And that's fine.
And it would disturb the conversation, but it's up to you.
I won't talk to you.
Okay, so it goes that there's like you said, 50,000 differences. It's not just 1%. 1% of 500,000 is a lot of variations.
I know, but what's
So anyway, the original topic you were saying, go and continue with your analogy
okay, cool. So
about corruption in the Bible.
About football. Yeah. So about the concept of football.
Yeah.
And so now.
It's different language.
So if I say tomorrow we play football, okay, you bring what you bring, I bring what I bring, okay. Now we're trying to play the sport, okay. You brought all the stuff that you believe is true for football, okay, which is ball must be land, okay. So now you're trying to judge my sport based off of your principles, your standard, but your standard is your standard, okay. So when we explain Christianity, let us explain Christianity. When you explain Islam, let us explain Islam. So your concept.
Let us explain.
Okay, cool, exactly, yeah. So when you say the Bible, so this concept of corruption, is this the point you wanted to make?
No, so you were saying that Muslims say this, but the thing is, I was saying Dimitri.
About Mark.
Yeah, so I was saying Dimitri, isn't Muslims who say this?
I know.
Their arguments actually originate from Christian scholars.
I know, but the Christian scholars, what they say is the variations do not change doctrine, and this is true.
Okay, so
this
is not true.
No, it's true. No, it's true. Listen, this is the point I'm making. Yeah. So, for example, Hold on.
But just at one point,
just
one point, yeah? You know when you say it's not true, I just explained to you that you said in your own numeral is 50,000 differences which are viable and meaningful. Viable meaning it's likely to go back to the original manuscript, meaningful that it changes theology. And one of the examples is the ending of Mark. In the ending of Mark you have the resurrection, the visible resurrection, but that's not part of the original one. The original one ends at the empty tomb and the woman don't tell no one.
So,
but then once I'll explain. So the Great Commission also comes in. That is part of your theology, that you be able to hold up snakes and heal the sick and everything. This is all part of theology, which is meaningful.
So they told no one.
Guess what the Bible says.
So how do you know they told no one?
Because the Bible says that.
No, but if you don't tell, it's like today,
I know that.
It's like today.
I know that, Dimitri.
No,
but it's not me saying it. It's the Bible.
So quantify what they didn't tell. That's the point I'm trying to make. Listen. Let me make a point, okay? So today I was driving here and I went past Gaucho in Hampstead, okay? And then it says secret garden back around the back. If you just told me it's a secret garden, is it a secret garden?
No. It can be to a degree, as in limited, yes.
But you just said, so it can be to a degree. So therefore, when the Bible says they told no one,
it's not true.
Who is they?
The women.
Told no one.
Yeah, meaning they didn't tell anyone of what they just saw. The angel in the cave, the empty tomb.
Okay, so now your assumption is the fact that because the Bible says
the clear reading. I'm not talking about.
Hold on. You just said I asked me a question. You said the clear reading is they told no one.
Just what it says.
When I asked you a question, just now, a secret garden. You said it depends because if it's a secret garden, no one should know apart from the inner circle.
Okay, right? So can I respond?
So hold on. So therefore. But in one area we can have context, another area context because it fits your agenda. Context is not allowed.
Okay,
so the point I'm making is no, because I didn't make the statement. I was trying to build up a statement, the statement is that.
But I disagree. Just to let you know, I disagree with that last point. But I don't want to disturb.
100%. I know you disagree. So the context is the most important thing. For example, there is another passage in the Bible where it says the whole world believed, okay? But when he's speaking about the whole world, they wasn't talking about the whole entire globe. They were talking about, for example, if I say, and bear man came to the party. So what I'm saying is,
so let's slow down here.
Context.
So when it says the women went and told no one, you believe they told someone.
Yes,
is that what you believe?
They told no one.
Okay, I'm not arguing. One second. No, but you spoke, and I think let me build up what I'm saying.
No, but I'm giving the definition.
No, but let me just build up what I'm saying, and you understand.
No, so the definition.
Because I understood what you said. You spoke for a little while, just a little bit. So when it says that the women left the tomb and so it said spoke to no one, I'm saying the clear reading is that they spoke to no one. I'm not injecting anything in. One second. Don't speak to anyone else. Out of respect. The clear reading is, if someone says they spoke to no one, it means they spoke to no one. Now, if you said, okay, this is a limited, they spoke to no one, then you should have some evidence. Otherwise, there's arguments from silence.
The evidence is
you
this.
Get it? Do you understand?
The evidence is this. I'm giving you the evidence, okay? So did the woman go to the tomb?
This is what the Mark says, yes.
So Mark says it. So was Mark there?
No, he wasn't. This is the point.
Hold on.
So would you like me to answer that?
No, listen. So Mark said they didn't go to. Mark says that the woman went to the tomb
and told no one. Yeah, but
so
how does Mark know?
How does Mark know?
Excellent.
Excellent.
Now, would you want me to answer that?
So therefore,
you asked me a question.
Hold on. So therefore, because when you go to court, there's a judge who, at the end of the day, he may or she makes the end decision. Okay, but everyone is allowed their interpretation. Okay, so now your argument is that this Bible is incorrect because there was an insertion in Mark, okay, which says
corrupted. We're talking
Mark
about corruption.
Yeah. But in Mark it says the woman told no one. Okay, but Mark writes it saying that.
So how did he know?
So, exactly.
Yeah.
So go on.
So this is my question. This is the question.
So what is?
What is unanimous in all of the Gospels is that the disciples fled from Jesus. Hear me, bear me, yeah. And there were no witnesses. There were no witnesses after the rest of Jesus, yeah, when it came to the Sanhedrin trial, there was no witnesses. When it came to the Roman trial, there were no witnesses. When it came to the persecution, there were no witnesses. When it came to the Jesus being put into the grave, there were no witnesses. It's only then you have this insertion later, and it comes, we'll say, of resurrection as well. It comes later in Luke and Matthew, yeah. But Mark mentions an empty tomb, and it mentions an odious figure telling the woman that he has risen. It doesn't say anything else. Mark says this. There's no vision. One second. I'm going to answer your question. Trust me. Yeah. So the question is, if there's no eyewitnesses, then how did it get into Mark? One second. All four Gospels are unanimous that these disciples fled. There were no eyewitnesses. At the Mount Gethsemane, when Jesus was sold out by the Judas with the kiss and the 30 shekels, yeah, silver pieces of silver, all of the disciples fled and left him, meaning there was no one, according to the apparent meaning, that was eyewitnessing. So our question is, how do these events, not just the empty tomb, from the point of the Sanhedrin trial, the Pilate's trial, the persecution, the crucifixion, yeah, all of this is from the Bible. So the question, yeah, just once again, I'm building up, yeah. But you're saying, no, I'm making you understand. It's not just the empty tomb. So if the woman went and told no one, how does it end up in Mark? This is where we say it's a fabrication. From that point on, yeah, it contradicts. All four Gospels, one second. All four Gospels contradict. Do you know what the synoptic problem is? Just a quick one. Do you know what the synoptic problem is? Okay, you think the Matthew, Mark, Luke and John are independent writers, don't you? And you think they are eyewitnesses, don't you? You don't. Who do you believe? Who do you believe is eyewitness? Just so I can build up the argument.
It says in Luke that he was not an eyewitness.
Okay, great. So Luke is not eyewitnesses. Matthew and Mark are eyewitnesses, and John.
Matthew is. Mark wasn't.
Okay. So now what is the synoptic problems? If you're saying Mark is not an eyewitness but he has this information, why is it Matthew and Luke, who are writing in the 18th century, copying from Mark, who is not, Mark is written in year 70, 40 years after the death of Jesus. The dating of Mark is the earliest scripture.
Bro, you want to do something? Listen.
You don't listen. Did you understand?
Oh my gosh.
Matthew and Luke are copying Mark. This is called the synoptic problem. I asked you if you knew. This was happening. No, they're not. No, that's a Matthean. That's Matthean priority. No, scholars don't understand. But the majority of scholars do not follow the Matthean. No, you're wrong. You're wrong. And we'll show. Okay, we'll see.
Irenaeus, writing in the year 200, says Matthew, the tax collector, Luke, the physician, Mark, the evangelist, and John, the
what's the point? What's the point?
So Luke wrote commentaries.
Do you know what the synoptic problem is yourself? Or you don't know? The synoptic problems is that it means they're seen as the same. Yeah? And there's no point in us arguing about things. I'm not trying to debate or be a thing, but we need to understand what these arguments are before we can start debating them. Okay? So the synoptic problem is that the Matthew, Mark and Luke are seen as the same. Why they're seen as the same? Because they have narratives which come in the same order, same sequence, and even word for word. So, exactly, they were writing for different people. So the scholars say the majority, about 40% of Matthew and 4% of Luke is copied from 80% of Mark. Mark is the original gospel. This is called a synoptic.
Can I ask a question?
But he believes, what he believes, yeah, is Matthean priority. No scholar worth his dime in this age believes in that. This is all, only the early church fathers. But those who examine,
only the early church fathers, get that. Only the earliest witnesses agree with me.
Okay, so no, they don't agree with you. No.
Only the early church you said it.
You get angry.
I just quoted Irenaeus.
Never get angry.
I quoted Irenaeus.
Okay, so
you
So should I? You done with me?
But what's that got to do with our conversation? What's your name? What's your name?
Enjoy your engagement.
It has nothing to do with our conversation. You don't realize.
It does actually.
You do?
Because you're on about the synoptic gospels.
You can stay for. You sure? You can stay because I was going to talk to you. It's a bit difficult to keep one fluid idea, you know.
I still pet you, by the way.
Yeah, you take care.
No offense, but what you said was related to what we're talking about.
Because you have to understand, you're saying this synoptic problem, you have to actually understand the Gospels.
Do you know the synoptic problem? A minute ago you said you didn't.
No, listen. If you're going to talk about the Gospels, you also have to understand One, who they're written by. Two, who they were writing to.
Okay, this is also what the synoptic is. Do you know which is the earliest of the 4 Gospels? Yes or no? In which year?
Yeah, I want to say 60. I could be
About 65 to 70. What about Matthew and Luke?
Matthew and Luke 70 to 80.
No, about 80-ish, yeah? What about John?
Oh, 80 to 90.
About 90-ish, because it's Ephesus. One second. So you're saying I need to understand. Sorry, Dimitri, that was so rude of me.
No, what you need to understand.
I didn't even realize.
What you need to understand is
One
this.
second, you're saying I need to know this, yeah? Let's see if we know we know what we're talking about. Which is the earliest of the 4? Mark.
Yeah, Mark.
Yeah? This is the basis of what Matthew and Luke are writing from. What's the Q Gospel? One second.
I want to qualify.
No, I want.
No, before you talk about my faith, because look, I won't make claims about Islam because I'm not a Muslim, yes?
No, but we're examining your faith.
No, it's not fair.
No, we're not changing the topic. What's your name? Hamza.
Sam,
nice to meet you. But don't change the topic.
No, I'm not changing the topic at all. I'm just asking you this one
You're
question.
saying that no.
Who was Mark?
Okay, I'm answering.
No, go on.
Okay,
Who was Mark?
Mark was a Greek-speaking person. Probably he wasn't a Jew. He breaks down basic terms like his rabbi, saying it means teacher. Now, if it was a Jewish person who was writing, he wouldn't do that. He gets the geography wrong. He gets the once you ask me a question, you ask me a question. No, this is the problem. Look, if you ask me a question, you have to listen to the answer. Is that rational?
Yeah, that's fair.
Is that okay? Okay, so you asked me what Mark was on the basis that you think that I don't know who they were writing for. He was probably writing to a Hellenistic, diasporic Jewish audience. No, it is. Why not? Why not? Mark, yes.
Why would he explain rabbi?
Yes, because it's a diaspora. You know what diaspora means?
Yeah, the people who've moved away.
Who moved away. They lost their Hebrew tongue.
Mark wouldn't be to them.
Huh?
Mark wasn't to them.
Mark wrote his gospel.
Okay, let's say. I might have to double. Okay, I might have to double check that. Okay. But he gets what the point was. Yeah, he gets the geography wrong. He's clearly not a Jew himself. Yeah. So now, why is it that this person who's not an eyewitness of the region is writing a book which is being copied by so-called eyewitnesses? This is the synoptic problem. Do you get it? No, honestly, be honest. You understand?
If something
No, seriously, this is a good point. Where did he get the information from?
Mark?
Yes.
Okay, excellent.
No. I know the answer. I'm wondering if
I know the answer.
Okay, go on.
I know the answer.
Who is it?
You go first, or do you want me to go first?
You go first.
Okay. I'm quite sure he doesn't. You could whisper in his ear what the answer is, but I'm quite sure you don't. Yeah.
Who did Mark get the information from?
Okay. He wants to say Peter.
I am going to say Peter.
Exactly, I know your answer. But Mark has in it, elements which predate it, same as Luke and Mark. Mark has stuff like the common saying source. The Mark has it like the passion narrative as well. Scholars look at it like John Dominic Crossan and break down he only knows what the church fathers say. I'm familiar with what the church fathers say, but he needs to know what critical scholars also say. You understand?
The church fathers were going to omit Hebrews from the Bible.
James,
and they were going to James and Ruth. Okay, so therefore, I'm not basing you.
They omitted other books.
For example, exactly. So,
but this
I don't call
point.
the Bible the Word of God. I call it Scripture. Okay? Because the Bible quotes other books, such as the Book of Enoch, which is in Jude.
The Book of Wars.
Okay, good.
The Book of Wars.
So therefore,
Book of Jessup.
So therefore,
that's not there.
So therefore, Book of Hermes. Okay, so therefore, the letter to Barnabas.
The books that are not in there.
Exactly.
So how did these books get in there?
No, but what do you mean? How did they get in there?
No, it's a good question. Follow me. Why did these books get in there?
This is the point I'm making. So therefore, you're trying to debate me with scholars and what they believe. I don't care what they believe.
No, but they use evidence.
No, because the faith, the Christian faith, doesn't come from scholars.
Of course it does. It's the church fathers who are scholars. That's what the Catholics and all other Christianity. I know. Okay. All other Christianities, whether it's Protestant or not, go back to the Roman Church.
Go back to the Roman Church.
All of them. Martin Luther. Okay. Who is? Okay, let's say again. Let's just examine what is it. Protestant. Who started the movement?
What do you mean who started the movement?
Who started the Protestant movement? No, let him answer because he's saying no, but he's going. No, it's really relevant. Let me make my argument. You see if it's relevant.
We're doing church history, bro.
Who is the creator or the main mover of this Protestant?
Jan Hus.
Jan Hus, yeah. What about Martin Luther?
Jan Hus was the
Martin
first.
Luther, okay. He was, and this is what happens, okay, in all this new doctrine. I feel like Islam does the same thing as well. It's an adverse reaction to the institution of the time.
Exactly.
Okay?
It's a break off from Catholic religion.
No, exactly.
Exactly.
Okay?
So all of them come from there. That's what my point was.
But the Catholicism still had a canon.
I know they had a canon. I don't disagree. But the Protestants protested and said our canon needs to be different.
Exactly, but it doesn't matter because.
And then Martin Luther pinned that 99 points against them.
I know,
and that's how you protested. You became a Protestant. You get it?
Do you know what those 99
But that's what I'm trying to tell
Do you know what those 99 points were about?
Huh?
Do you know what those 99 points were about?
A lot of them was a
Well,
claim that
95 actually.
Catholicism is paganism.
No.
A lot of them. No.
I've studied the Reformation in depth.
Well, just a few seconds ago when I asked you, you didn't know.
It was just about indulgences.
Okay.
Nothing else.
Okay.
The 95, the 95 thesis was all about indulgences.
You read.
Luther, to be fair to him,
Okay.
never wanted to split from the church.
Okay.
Never ever wanted to.
Was a bit more than that.
It involves in it the belief that the Roman Church changed the religion of Jesus. It does. And when we have time, what's your name again?
To be fair, Lutheranism.
What's your name again? Well, afterwards, Sam, because there's more detail, I'll show you.
To be fair, Lutheranism, okay, that dude, and I disagree with a lot of his stuff. I agree with a lot of his stuff.
I don't even know what you believe, but I'll get to it.
Just as a person's a scholar, and he's arguing this, doesn't mean that...
I get you, but the scholars aren't whimsical. They're not saying people believe in scholars. In fact, everything you're wearing,
Should I throw a scholar that you should listen to?
Yeah, no. There's a reason. There's a reason why we follow some scholars and not. It's the weight of the argument.
Do you know
the weight of the argument?
Christianity, in the scriptures it says, salvation is of the Jews. Okay?
Yes, this is what Jesus said.
So, if we want to understand Christianity, it's better to understand Christianity
from the Bible.
From the Jew. Okay? So
Christianity from the Jew.
From the Jew, because Christianity was not a new religion. Okay, what Christianity did is not a new religion. What it did is ascribe a person to an entity who the Jews believed in the past. So when you read the Bible and you read the 1 John, okay, there's a teaching called the Memra, which is a Jewish rabbinic teaching, okay, from the Talmud, okay, and the Talmud, okay, was a very strong and very powerful sector of the Jewish faith, okay, and they had all their teachings of sacrificial teachings, the teachings of the law, okay?
Pharisaic teachers, this is what you're referring to, yeah?
Sorry, no,
the Pharisaic. No, as in the Pharisees.
Yeah.
No,
Pharisees and Sadducees are separate.
No, I know Sadducees are separate, but what you're talking about now, what you're talking about now, I think, is the Pharisees.
The Talmud?
Yeah, you said Talmudist. Well, you're referring to group. Talmud is usually their book they refer to, or the laws.
Yes. Yeah. So they had a concept called the Memra. Okay.
This is the laws which are taken from the Talmud, I think.
No, this is the teachings of the laws, the teachings. The laws, the Septuagint and all that stuff there. So that is the origins of Christianity. So Christianity doesn't come and introduce a new faith. For example, when we say Jesus is So the reason I'm saying this is because when we guys go to try to bring in this scholar or that scholar, that scholar and this scholar is teaching it from the concept of New Testament teaching, okay? Yeah. But you separate New Testament teaching from the Old Testament teachings, and then you have a new faith, which is what Islam tries to do when it says this is the religion that that Muhammad came to bring, and it deviates away from Christianity, which deviates away from the Torah, which therefore Islam is a new religion which is separate from all these previous ones. So yes,
slow down. Yeah, so let's engage a bit, yeah? So you say we have to unpack what is it you're saying, yeah? So now, if Jesus, who was a Jew by the biblical standard, saw Christianity, he would not recognize that. If he saw the Bible, he would not recognize that. This 100. Which part did I lose you on? You know? Did you hear what I said?
I heard what you said.
What was laughable?
Exactly.
What was laughable?
What you said is said from a person who's clearly not read the text properly.
Okay, well, instead of laughing, yeah, how about we engage in more?
But you're laughing now.
Yeah, because you're laughing. That's why I'm laughing.
Oh, so you're
yeah.
laughing because I'm laughing.
Okay, it's getting silly. Okay, listen. Jesus, if he saw the Bible, this is what I said, he would not recognize it. Now, why do I say that? Because the New Testament is what I'm referring to. Now, the New Testament, the earliest writings is of Saul. It's, yeah, he's a writer thing. Yeah. So Paul, listen, calm down. Paul, also known as Saul, is the first writer. In what year was he writing?
20 years after the death of Christ.
So if Jesus saw his writings, which are the earliest writings in the New Testament, he would not recognize it. That's the point of the first one. They said, what's so hard to understand?
No, I'm saying
if you die, let's say, God forbid, yeah, let's say, I understand. One second, let me break down my argument, but you didn't get it. If
it means I don't understand.
No, you laugh. That's right.
Yeah, because
that's what you know. If let's say hypothetically.
No, hold on.
So what did you laugh? What was hard to understand?
The fact that you think it's a valid point to make, okay? Because
I wasn't even making the point. I just said that I was building to the point where you were saying.
So therefore, why make it if it's invalid? If it's not, it has no.
Well, if you listened, you would have listened to the whole.
So it has substance.
Of course it does.
Okay, so
but you laugh.
To it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But how can you laugh at something that's not funny?
What do you mean it's not funny?
It's not funny.
It's funny to me.
But why is it funny to you? That's what I'm saying.
Because the fact that you think that statement is a solid statement to make.
Okay, so show me. I've just explained to you, and I'll explain to you that the New Testament was written after Jesus. Mm-hmm. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then if Jesus were to see something now today, this Bible, he would not recognize it. You went, funny. So now explain to me how I'm wrong in saying that.
No, I didn't say that you're wrong. I'm saying
you just argued that.
Did I say you're wrong? No, so you assume that I'm wrong because I said you're wrong.
Let me just continue.
Let me just continue. No.
Let me continue.
You asked me a question. I'm going to make the statement, okay? You said.
I said if Jesus were to see the Bible, the New Testament, he would not recognize it. If he saw Christianity, so how is it invalid? That's what I'm asking you.
I said it's because you're going to use that in your argument.
No, this is in the statement. Let me speak and you'll understand.
That's like saying,
but you laugh.
This colour is white. Of course it's white. So what? It's an invalid point. It's a moot point. That's the point I'm trying to make.
Well, let me finish what I was saying.
Okay, go on.
Yeah?
The fact that you think it's valid is
no, you haven't
why I laughed. That's the reason why I laughed.
Yeah, but it's not a reason. It's not a valid reason to laugh. This is.
How are you going to tell me what's valid? See now you're telling me.
Look, the discussion's going silly places now. It's going silly places. My point was,
I'm not allowed to chuckle. I'm not allowed to react.
You can do anything you want to.
So I did it, and then now you're telling me off for doing what I did.
I'm not telling you off.
You did.
Okay, I'm sorry. I don't mean to tell you off. I'm sorry. I don't mean to do it. It's silly. We're grown men.
Okay,
we're grown men. We
shouldn't
do this. We shouldn't be. Come on. Let's just. Okay. Let's forget. Yeah. Okay. So now, Christianity has no relevance to Judaism except for middleman. And see, this is what I'm saying. You're doing it again. Except for the middleman Jesus, who was a Jew. Now, what happened later? People made Jesus or started worshipping Jesus, as Larry Hurtado says. Yeah, they started giving binitarian devotion to Jesus, and because they were Jews and the early sects of Jews didn't worship Jesus. This is something that came later. Larry Hurtado, he writes this as how Jesus became a god. He explains that people started worshipping Jesus, but now they have to justify their Judaism and monotheism. If God is one, how then can you worship God and Jesus alongside? So then they became to say that he was divine, and there were many ways, like saying he was an angel or he was a divine figure who was like apotheosis.
Mormonism.
You know,
Mormonism. That's Mormonism.
This come much later on.
Yes,
Mormonism come later. Yeah, but this come much later on. I'm talking about the early days. Yeah. So what happened is